What happens when a world-class nutritionist uses blood panels, cellular biology, and fact-based science to create and monitor healthy eating plans with supplements for her clients? Everyone wins. Welcome to Power on Your Plate with Haylie Pomroy, an educational experience that gives you both the actionable and practical tools you can use every day to get your health, weight, and life back on track.
Hey guys, it's Haylie Pomroy here, your nutritionist and your advocate for your health and wellness, but above all else, your number one support in you doing what you feel, conviction and passion and a desire to do for your health and wellness. And as you guys know, we have a very robust membership community. And in that community, people ask me all kinds of questions. And there's been a topic that's been, I guess I'd say the word up a lot lately, or people have been talking a lot about, they want to know my opinion or what I've seen clinically or what I do personally about plant-based diets, about veganism, vegetarianism. And so what we did is we got together and kind of scoured our membership group and pulled some of the top questions that we get on a regular basis. And so I wanted to talk to you today about plant-based diets and, when and where to incorporate more vegetables. And I'm going to tell you always. And, kind of what I've seen over my 8 years of clinical practice, individuals maybe that adopt completely vegan diets, plant-based diets, all of those good things. So we got together as a team and we pulled a couple of our top questions. And I thought we'd have a really good discussion today about these subjects. So let's jump right in. One of the top questions that I get is, what are the most common motivations you see in my practice with people that are wanting to add more plant-based meals to their diet? So what's kind of the general motivation, or maybe the most common motivation? So both in our community and in my clinic, I would say looking to do something to have a positive impact on their health. Typically, when people broach the subject in my practice about plant-based diets, we're looking at things like inflammation, maybe even autoimmune disorders. Maybe they've read something about a plant-based diet helping them to balance their body's pH, or acid and alkalinity in the body. I would say that those are probably the most common motivations. Definitely, there's the subject about methane gas, pollution with a lot of heavily animal-based eating. And there's a lot of data there and a lot of information there. I have a degree in animal sciences and agriculture. We raise our own 100% grass-fed beef on our ranch in Colorado for our family and kind of friends. And so, philosophically, I'm not a big proponent of factory farming. I guess I would say that. But really, it seems that when people are coming into our community and coming into my clinics, their motivation is really about putting power on their plate, right? Doing the right thing to have a positive impact on their health, or help them or help you change your health trajectory. So that's what I usually see as the primary catalyst, and a very worthy one, in my opinion. The next question that my team came up with was, what is my personal philosophy on the role of plant-based meals as part of a balanced diet? As you guys know, in every single one of my programs, vegetables are unlimited. The more the merrier. I always say the closer that you can get to the farmer, either growing them yourself or patting the farmer on the back that did. So farmers market, local produce. Those types of things are going to enrich the actual micronutrients that you put in your body. So now we're not just talking about philosophy of plant-based diets, but how to actualize the concept that vegetables are good for you, how to actualize those results in your own metabolism. So I believe heavily that all of us need to add more vegetables in our meals and our snacks. And you will see that the more weight an individual is struggling losing, or the more negative impact a disease or a health imbalance is making on the body, in all of my nutritional recommendations, the things that I up and up and up as far as a portion will be vegetables. I will have you double down on your spinach and your carrots and your broccoli. In that, though, there is a piece that I want to bring up. A lot of plant-based diets incorporate a lot of processed foods, and that has a very negative impact on the concept of these phytonutrients in your plants and the positive phytochemicals in your plants having an anti-inflammatory, a digestive support, proteolytic enzyme, so the enzymes that reduce inflammation being nurtured in your body. When we start talking about a lot of processed plant-based diets, we actually can see a lot of pro-inflammatory response. And this is especially true in situations where people are doing a lot of soy products or a lot of vegan products that have a lot of heating and processing and additives and a lot of times chemicals in them. So be aware that if you choose to go vegan or plant-based, that you're not substituting any foods with processed foods. And I would say, that clinically and in our community, we see a lot of people that struggle with inflammation associated with a plant-based diet. And then once we kind of unveil what they're really doing, when we start dissecting their meal maps and we look at what they're putting on their plates, they're typically taking a plant and kind of adulterating it with the processing process. So I'll touch on soy a little bit. If you're going to do soy, a fermented soy is typically utilized by the body more efficiently. It does not affect the prostaglandins or the anti-inflammatory and pro-inflammatory hormones as much. So personal philosophy, double down on your veggies. If you're going to be a vegan, make sure that you're doing a variety of raw and cooked veggies. The raw veggies will stimulate your enzymes and nutrients. The cooked veggies will help deliver nutrients in a little more readily. Use a lot of herbs and spices, and chew your food and make sure that it's still food. Those are really, really important there. And the next question, I think this is kind of a fun one. What is the number one thing you think people should understand when deciding whether a fully plant-based lifestyle is right for them? I think the number one thing that I would say if a person's going to go 100% plant-based is, okay, I'm going to give you three things. I can never do one thing. I don't believe in a reductionistic approach to medicine. I don't believe in a reductionistic approach to nutrition, which is why we have so many different programs, because you are a diverse, biodynamic human being. Don't you ever forget that. So let me at least distill it down to three. Number one is make sure that you are talking about truly whole plants and that you are incorporating a lot of roots, a lot of body of the plant, a lot of leaf of the plant. There are nutrients, and in order to keep your amino acids specifically balanced and all of your enzymes, the variety in the source of the plant is very important. So do a lot of leafy greens, do a lot of root vegetables. Edible flowers provide, so the bloom of a plant provides a very unique nutrient. And I want to make sure that you are having diversity in that nutrient. So think first about making sure that you have diversity in the plant that you're eating. So dandelion leaf, dandelion root, again, edible flowers, those are very important. The second thing is make sure that you have variety in the types of plants that you're eating. So don't get hung up on doing broccoli every day or spinach every morning or, having the identical salad. Make sure that you're incorporating things like avocados and coconuts, things that have the healthy fats in them, raw nuts, but also raw seeds. So oftentimes we will find individuals that go towards, in my clinic, that go towards a plant-based diet, and they're having, maybe spinach a scramble with maybe some tempeh, some fermented soy and quinoa. They're having, a big salad that from the same restaurant every day that has the same ingredients in it. And maybe they're incorporating a sweet potato with some cashew butter at dinner, but there's a lot of repetitiveness in the meal. So as with any diet, but especially with a plant-based diet, my second thing would be make sure that there is variety. And then the third would be watch carefully for the processed foods in any diet, and especially in a plant-based diet. What is the number one thing, this is my next question, number one again, that I think that people should understand when deciding whether a fully plant-based diet lifestyle is right for them? So the number one thing that they fully must understand is that your body is always right and that you want to listen to your body. So we have a couple tools, which is one, your self-assessment questionnaire. You can download it for free on the website. Make sure that you're really getting, before you start any kind of a diet, you're really getting a strong sense of self. So sense of how you feel. Sometimes we even talk about, edema or swelling or measuring the belly after a meal. See what's going on with you with your current diet. And then I have people move into what we call your health wish list, which again, you can download for free on the website. But the health wish list is, once you have a clear understanding of yourself and where you're at, is where exactly are you wanting to go in your health? And really expecting a lot from the power that you put on your plate. So if you're going to go plant-based, really having a clear understanding of what do you want for your health? What are the things? Do you want to, sleep deeper, wake up bright and bushy-tailed, lose weight, have less pain, less inflammation? Really define those things so that we can turn your wish list into a checklist. And then the other thing that I'm, really like is measure and check your body's ecosystem by testing your digestive reserves and your pH. So the digestive reserves, we do what we call the lemon challenge test. And the lemon challenge test, I'm going to give you a basic rundown. Basically, you test your salivary enzymes or your saliva's pH. So you get a baseline. You then bite into a lemon, which is acidic, right? Lemons are acidic, so it should drop your pH. Your pH is typically just slightly alkaline of your saliva, so just over a 7, so maybe like a 7.1, 7.2. You bite into the lemon, and then we have you retest your pH at 30-second and 1-minute intervals to see how long it takes for you to reestablish a homeostasis or a balance in your enzymes. So maybe just the thought of you or just listening to me talk about biting into a lemon, you'll notice maybe it makes you salivate, your parotid glands start to secrete a little bit of saliva. That's your body's response to an induced, I'm going to call it stressor or something different like a lemon. And what we look for in this is how stable your body is in coming back into balance after having that acidic exposure. So it's a really quick test. All the instructions are there. The other one that I like if an individual's thinking about a plant-based diet is really checking your body's pH over a week. It's a week-long protocol. It's really simple. This is important because with plant-based diets, I have no concerns or worries about getting enough protein. You can balance that. Obviously getting enough fiber, that's supported for. But you want to make sure with the enzyme output and the change in your digestion that you're doing the right support to keep your body, again, in that homeostasis. So with plant-based diets, we sometimes talk about, heavy metal die-off, arsenic exposure. There's all these things that can come up. Heavy metal release, candida die-off. There's things to think and consider that can be awesome and wonderful and a powerful reason to do a plant-based diet. But again, the number one thing is that your body's always right. So you want to do these types of DIY at home, self-diagnostics, self-assessments, so that you can really start to have this beautiful, loving, intimate relationship with your body and its response and reaction to foods. So let's see. Someone asked me, and this was a cool one, what are 4 to 6? Oh, they gave me more variety here. plant-based swaps you'd recommend, and what's your favorite way to prepare them? Like sweet potatoes, cauliflower. Let me give you a couple that I dig on. And these are ways that you can, even if you're not considering a plant-based diet and you want to incorporate more vegetables in your world, some really fun things. When we talk about sweet potatoes, I love sweet potato fries. I love sweet potato crisps. One of my favorite is I make a waffle, a savory sweet potato waffle. And the recipe's on the site, but you can shred the sweet potato. If you are using eggs in your diet, you can put eggs into there. I use a waffle iron for it. And then I love to do salsa over it. I like to also make, if you do salmon, I like to make salmon and sweet potato. I'll shred, finely grate my sweet potato and make salmon cakes. That's a phenomenal one. If you are completely vegan, I love to do sweet potatoes I bake a sweet potato and then I put cashew butter in it. It is so decadent and creamy and delicious. So those are some really fun sweet potato ones. The other thing is I'm a huge jicama fan. Jicama has a prebiotic called inulin. And so if you have any digestive upset, if you're prone to bloating after eating, that is a particular micronutrient that can be really healthy and helpful to go in and help nourish and heal the gut lining. So again, I love jicama fries. I make a raspberry puree and dip them in because when you bake or cook jicama, even when you eat it raw, it has a slightly sweet taste to it. I will bake them with cinnamon and then dip it into a raspberry puree that is delicious. The other thing is I will use like a mandolin and really thinly slice jicama and toast it with a little bit of cinnamon also, and sometimes a little bit of cracked red chili. It is so good, and those will make it like a jicama crisp. I definitely use jicama for taco shells. I shred jicama with red and white cabbage and a little bit of hummus, lime juice, a little bit of paprika, and make an incredible, I love pine nuts in that, and make an incredible coleslaw. That's another really fun one. Definitely we do a lot of kale chips. I have a dehydrator, so I make zucchini chips. We have a garden, so you can tell what I have left over. Zucchini chips, yellow squash chips, beet chips. Turnips are another one that is really good. You can bake like a potato. I also will do pureed celery root. Fennel is a phenomenal one. It has a little bit of a kind of a licorice taste. Fennel pairs really well with fish if you're a pescatarian and you do fish. But those are some of my really fun, I'm a big zoodle person. I make zucchini noodles all the time. If you don't have things like, I think they're called like spiralizers or mandolins, and you can get really inexpensive ones and do the job. But those are great tools to have in the kitchen. So I want to see you guys definitely playing with and assessing, how many vegetables are you eating in a day? You should have 5 servings for sure. Play with salads, making them a little more decadent. Chop your salad, shred your lettuce. Sometimes just the texture of a vegetable can make a significant difference. We have a lot of tips on the website about, oils to cook with. So for example, if you're doing a vegetable in a high heat, you would want to use a particular oil, an avocado oil, maybe a grapeseed oil. If you're doing things in a low heat, maybe an olive oil. We have a lot of tips for dips and dressings and herbs and spices that can really make your vegetables a pleasurable experience. I always tell you that pleasure stimulates the metabolism. When you eat and you see something visually pleasing, you smell something that's appetizing, you begin to taste something that has a lot of diversity, like I talked about using a variety of the plant, it sets off this whole cascade of hormones that helps you secrete enzymes so you can break those macronutrients like fiber and carbohydrates and protein into micronutrients like vitamins and enzymes and minerals. And those micronutrients are the things that help to heal your metabolism, help to speed up your rate of burn, and that cascade of hormone secretion starts to elevate your metabolic rate, but it also starts to elevate your mood and washes the receptor sites for all your sex hormones. And so remember, pleasure really can stimulate the metabolism. So this was an awesome discussion that we had about plant-based diet. I'd love to hear from you guys. Would you say you're like an 80-20, 100%, a 50-50? What do you have going on when you are putting power in your plate, on your plate? Make sure that you are getting a true sense of self with a self-assessment questionnaire, that you know and you have a clear vision as to where you want to go to with your health wish list. And then play with a little bit of self-diagnostics. Learn more about yourself and do the digestive reserve test and the week-long pH testing protocol. And then, of course, jump on to the membership section and ask your questions. I would love to do a podcast about the things that you wonder about and the things that you have a passion for. As always, I love being your nutritionist. And until next time, double down on those veggies.
Thank you for listening to another inspiring episode of Power on Your Plate with Haylie Pomroy. Please remember to share the amazing science and tools with someone you love. The more we know, the more we all lift our global health together. Visit www.hayliepomroy.com to get notes from today's show and to take your education and health to a new level of success and happiness.
Information on this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for the advice provided by your physician or other healthcare professional or any information contained on or in any product label or packaging. You should not use the information on this podcast for diagnosing or treating a health problem or disease or prescribing any medication or other treatment. You should always speak with your physician or other healthcare professional before taking any medication or nutritional, herbal, or homeopathic supplement, or adopting any treatment for a health problem. If you have or suspect that you have a medical problem, promptly contact your healthcare provider. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking professional advice because of something you've heard on this podcast. Information provided on this podcast and the use of any products or services purchased as a result of this podcast does not create any type of professional relationship between you and any of the associates affiliated with this podcast. Information and statement regarding dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.